Alright, hello guys. Today we're going to be talking about our early December pattern here. Now, before I get started with this video though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to check out the links in the description for our social medias. Now let's get right into things. This forecast is going to be good from the beginning of December 2019 until December 15th. Now, as you can see here, we're looking at our 500 millibar geopotential height, and this is a good idea of where we're seeing troughs and ridges. This is a really good map to see that. Now, you can see those isobars there. Those are really indicating where they're ridging. You can see they make a bump up, kind of like a little hill shape there, or a ridge. And you can see in the blue areas, typically they trough down, kind of like a trough, and that's usually how you can see where a trough and a ridge is. So we can see here, starting things out today, we have a pretty good trough there in the eastern United States. It's not allowing for too much cold air because it's separated there from the Arctic region, so it's not really creating a ton of cold air. We also have one there for the immediate west coast, and really the central United States / central western United States is really where the biggest amount of ridging is going on in the United States today. Now, as we head forward here to about the 4th of December, you can see we have a pretty good trough here by this point in the eastern United States. This is by Wednesday morning. And you can see this one is actually pretty well connected up there to the Arctic region, so there might be a little bit more cold with this one for sure than what's going on right now. And we still have a little bit of ridging there in the west and in the central west, but there is a bit of a trough there offshore of California. Now, we're about to move on towards kind of the second week of December here, where things are going to start to get very, very exciting as we head later into the month of December. Now, looking at December 8th here, this is going to be Sunday morning, we see now there's a bit of a ridge in the east. Now, the further and further we get into this, obviously take it with more of a grain of salt. It might not be this big of a ridge. There might even be a little bit of a trough by now. But really, the biggest takeaway from this, I've already seen all the frames I'm going to use in this video. The biggest takeaway from this entire video is that it's going to be going back and forth. That's what the models are pretty much figuring right now. There's not going to be really consistent cold anywhere or consistent warmth. It's just going to be consistently changing and moving during these next 15 days, which isn't always the case. Some people might think that, oh, well, isn't it always doing that? Well, sometimes it stays very cold for quite a long time, and that just does not look like the case this time around. So we can see a little bit of a trough in the west, a little bit of a ridge in the east, but really not too much going on. Now, by the 11th, though, the GFS model is showing a trough back in the eastern United States once again, and this is a really good one here, actually, by the 11th. And then we have a really good ridge in the west out there, and by now we've switched to our GFS ensemble model, because later on in the forecast, the ensemble models are going to do a lot better figuring out the pattern and everything. So we have switched to that, and we're about to move on and look at the end as we approach the halfway mark of December towards that middle portion of the month. All right, now as you can see, by about the 13th, we see a little bit of a ridge in the east and the west, and really a central United States trough, but hardly any troughing going on, just a little bit there. Mostly a ridge in the west, ridge in the east. Pretty zonal pattern here, which goes along quite nicely with my December forecast that I made. And as we move on to December 15th, you can see we finally get a little bit of a trough back in the eastern United States and a bit of a ridge out there in the west again. So back and forth is definitely the trend if you haven't noticed already. Now, we're about to get into our super exciting temperature anomaly forecast. Let's get right into that now. You can see December 3rd. Here's the temperature anomaly, which basically in the blue and purples, we're looking at below normal conditions based on your averages for that day or that frame. And then in the west, on this frame, the west, but really the yellows and reds and everything, that's where we're looking at above normal temperatures for that given frame as well. As you can see on the 3rd, we have a pretty decent amount of cold out there in the east, and then out in the west, a pretty good amount of warmth. And that goes along nicely with where we saw the ridges and troughs set up and everything. Here you can see by the 7th, we see the immediate east coast in a pretty cold pattern there. And out west and in the central United States, we have pretty warm conditions there for the most part west of the Great Lakes and as well as the Gulf states there. But to the east of them, you can see we have pretty good amount of cold air. Now we're about to head on to the later portions of the month where things are going to get very, very exciting as we see potential for more troughing in the central and eastern United States. You can see here by the 10th, we actually have a pretty good amount of warmth there along the East Coast and the Gulf states as well. But we have really good amount of cold air moving into the Midwest and Great Lakes states. And then in the West, it's a little bit more of an average look. We see a little bit of warmth and a little bit of cold, but that's going to end up averaging out and not really being too extreme in any direction. As we head towards the 12th, you can see that cold makes it to the East Coast of the United States. The Midwest is still a little bit cold, but not quite as cold as you were on the 10th, as well as the Great Lakes. But the Gulf states, East Coast, and Midwest were all looking cold by this point. Now, by the 15th, we see it's more of a trough in the central United States and a ridge along the West Coast and the East Coast. And we saw that on our 500 geopotential height anomalies before. Remember, I said a little bit of the trough in the central United States and then a ridge on both coasts. And this is that look as far as on temperature is concerned, or how temperature is concerned. This is how things would shape up there for the 15th if it did appear to be that way. Now we're going to take it day by day for the 5-day chunks here. So this is from the 2nd through the 7th, because today's the 2nd, obviously. I meant to do this on the 1st, but, it's whatever. So we're going to do from the 2nd to the 7th, then the 5th through the 10th, and then the 10th through the 15th. But this is the 2nd through the 7th, and we can see for that 5-day chunk, we do see cold temperatures for Midwest, Great Lakes, Southeast, and Northeast, with warm in the Southwest and the Northwest. And in between the two areas, there is a little bit of an average area, a pretty good average area there. Now we're going to move on to where we look at the 5th through the 10th, and you see things get a little bit more warm overall. The Midwest and the Northeast are still a little bit cold there, but really the Southeast is average, and then the South Central is very warm. Southwest is pretty warm, with the exception of California that's looking pretty average. And then the Northwest is also looking quite warm as well for that 5-day chunk during that time frame. And from the 10th through the 15th, which is our final one, you can see cold starts to regain its hold in the east. We see more cold there for the South Central, the Southeast. We have a little bit of a ridge out there, but in the Northeast, Midwest, Great Lakes, and Central United States, we're all looking at pretty cold conditions to close out the month there, which is super, super exciting. Now, for this final portion of this video, I did want to talk a little bit more about Winter Storm Ezekiel, which looks to be a very, very major one. It's almost actually overperforming up there in the Northeast. And if you do live up there, you do know that this one has been quite extreme and almost more than what we were calling for, or anybody for that matter. Here's your current hazards with that one. In our pinks, we still have winter storm warnings. And then in those purplish colors, we have winter weather advisories. So here is the observed snowfall so far. So you can see in those reddish, more magenta colors, that's where we're looking at 12 to 24 inches of snow that's already fallen. So near Albany, through into the Berkshires, and then also you can see on the New Hampshire and Massachusetts border there as well. And this is exactly the areas where we called for the potential for 15 inches plus. Now, we also see in these pinkish colors, more pinkish and purple colors, that's where we're looking at 6 to 12 inches of snow that's already fallen, and 6 inches or below in all of those blue regions. Now, things start to get really crazy when you counter in also the total snow that we're expecting to still see with this storm. And we see some pinks and some of those magenta colors show back up in some of the areas that have already been in the magenta. So that's areas where we could potentially, we already have seen 12 inches and we could see 12 inches more. And if you do the math, that makes it very clear we could be potentially looking at 24 inches plus in some of these areas, like areas near Albany, the Berkshires, and then also areas bordering on New Hampshire and Massachusetts, even though we're only expecting about 8 to 10 more inches for those regions. Boston looking at maybe 6 inches plus more. So a lot of these pink regions going to be getting significant snowfall still from this storm. Very, very exciting stuff. And this storm was just really, really fun one. Starting out the winter with a bang for the Northeast. Clearly this was a very, very major snowstorm and a memorable one. I definitely, earlier on when this storm was still along the West Coast, did not see this coming, but that's how winter can be sometimes. It just catches you off guard sometimes. And these storms sometimes pop up just really, really late. You know, you only see it probably 4 or 5 days in advance, whereas sometimes you see it a week or more in advance. So it really just depends. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Be sure to share it with your friends and family on social medias like Facebook and everything if you think they'll find it interesting or informative. And I'll see you guys in the next video.